Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of InMobi's Mobile Monday Q&A series. Today, we're going to be talking all about viewability, especially as it relates to some really key new trends that are happening in our space, like in-game advertising and the metaverse. And to chat with us all about these great trends is Janelle De Rivera from Moat. Janelle, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. So hello, everyone. I'm Janelle De Rivera. I'm the Director of Product Management for Moat Analytics at Oracle Advertising. And Moat Analytics enables our clients to maximize their advertising spend and deliver better outcomes by providing a comprehensive view of campaign performance across channels, formats, and platforms. And my focus is ensuring our clients have the tools necessary to have the confidence and ability to take advantage of new and emerging media. So I'm super excited to be here today and to talk more about in-game.
Nice. Yeah, so I think before we dive in and get really into in-game advertising, one of the things I think that's been really interesting is just discussing measurability and viewability as it relates to in-game advertising. So before we get into that, let's define what we mean here. So when we're talking viewability, how is that being defined?
Yeah, so viewability is a measure of whether or not an ad had a chance to be seen by a user. It gives marketers that base knowledge that their message was seen by a customer, because there's not much value in an ad if it wasn't seen. So measuring viewability gives marketers a clearer understanding of their campaign effectiveness and also allows advertising spend to be allocated to the most valuable media. The MRC defines an impression as viewable if 50% of the ad is visible for at least 1 second for display ads and at least 2 seconds for video ads. And viewability is one of the features demanded most by agencies and advertisers. They want to ensure they're allocating their media spend towards quality inventory. And viewability is a key factor that advertisers consider when deciding how much to bid for impressions. So it makes it a crucial lever for publishers to optimize their ad revenue.
And are there any challenges that come, to guaranteeing viewability or measuring viewability?
Yeah. Nobody wants to waste their media spend on ads that no one is seeing. So there are definitely some factors that can affect viewability. And this includes the placement of the ads. So ads need to remain in view for at least 1 second for display or 2 for video. So the placement really does matter. And things that can affect the placement also are page load times or the responsiveness of page design. The size and layout of the ad can also affect placement and viewability. So it's really important to measure the viewability of your inventory and make optimization decisions about ad sizes and placements based on actual performance data. And then another factor that also affects viewability is invalid traffic. So invalid traffic and ad fraud are pervasive in online advertising. It's estimated that about $44 billion a year on digital ad spend is lost to ad fraud. So with third-party verification, advertisers can understand whether an impression is fraudulent or not. And at Oracle, our Oracle Moat engineers and data scientists devote substantial effort in researching and developing methods of detecting IVT.
So if I'm an advertiser, if I'm a publisher, what value should I expect to see by working with like a third party, like an Oracle Moat versus, the kind of measurement I may get from, say, a self-attributing network?
Yeah, so I think highly viewable inventory is only going to become more valuable to advertisers. And as digital advertising becomes more sophisticated, media buyers and sellers not only want to prove the value of their ads, but they also want to transact on viewability. So it becomes a common currency to use MRC viewability standards. And without a common measurement method, it would be impossible to really determine the true value of a viewed impression or optimize and forecast inventory effectively. So all digital media owners should allow their inventory to be measured for viewability by an accredited third party. This helps assure marketers that their media investments meet industry viewability standards. They can also then make informed budgeting and optimization decisions for their campaigns. So a third-party measurement provider like Oracle Moat provides an independent position. Oracle is agnostic, and we don't sell or buy media. Our primary aim is to facilitate a safe environment for effective marketing. So we strive to provide accurate IVT detection for all digital media, and also recognize that measurement is a constant evolution. So we continue to develop new ways to measure.
Yeah, I definitely can see the value of that. No point in, spending money on an ad if you can't guarantee that it's actually being seen by real people.
Right.
So everything that you're talking about is in relation to, I would say, maybe slightly more tried and true advertising formats and advertising channels. And as you mentioned, you do a lot of work with emerging channels, and certainly one of the hottest ones that I'm seeing a lot of talk about is in-game advertising. And we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, so let's dive into that now. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, in-game advertising, obviously there's been ads in games of various sorts for a while now, but when we refer to in-game advertising, it's something very specific. So can you kind of speak through what exactly it is that we're referring to here?
Yeah. When we're referring to in-game advertising or native in-game advertising, we're talking about ads that take place as part of the gameplay. So really operating within the 3D scene itself. This goes way beyond pre-roll or mid-roll display formats. These native ads can be roadside billboards or stadium banners or ads on the sides of buildings within the 3D game space. And actually, they really mirror ads you would find in the real world. So to give you a better sense of the types of ads that can be served within a 3D scene, this is a compilation of ads powered by Anzu, an in-game advertising platform, where you can see roadside billboards, stadium banners, and the sides of buildings throughout the 3D experience itself. The other thing to kind of keep in mind as we talk about in-game advertising, the number of gamers has skyrocketed over the last few years. So it's estimated that there are about 3 billion gamers worldwide. So advertisers have really come to see gaming as an effective platform for connecting with a diverse audience. Gamers also tend to spend hours at a time playing their favorite games, or if you're like my son, even watching other gamers play them on streaming video. So gaming is a unique challenge where the audience is really fully engaged. And to advertise in this unique space, there must be careful consideration to fit seamlessly in the gaming experience and not negatively impact it. The gamers don't want their game to be disrupted, so ads really need to support the gaming experience and not interfere with it. And when we think about in-game ads that are inserted natively to the gaming experience, these are really high-resolution creatives, and they offer significant placement opportunities in premium games. Oftentimes, game publishers are involved in choosing where they think the ad should go to be complementary to the flow of the game. So in-game ad tech companies really maximize impressions with best ad placements that blend in seamlessly with the immersive environment and really add another layer of realism to the 3D space. Kind of as we think about these ads, gaming ads look and behave very differently from other media channels. So web ad standards don't really work for 3D games. If we think about a virtual billboard that could appear in a racing game, So let's say a game player is driving a car and they may see a billboard ad on the racetrack. It may appear on their screen for just a few seconds, or it could be obscured by another in-game object like another car ahead of them, or it could be seen from an awkward angle as they approach a turn on the track. So in order for concepts like viewability to be translated effectively for in-game and other 3D environments, these are really important aspects that we have to consider. What impact does an ad rendering far away from a user in a 3D space have on the ad's ability to be seen? And what impact does the angle of the ad have? So in-game advertising platforms are aiming to give advertisers metrics that are similar to what they're used to in other channels. So these are early efforts at really creating a starting point for brands and agencies to measure in-game ads. But ultimately, the industry will need to modernize a set of guidelines that arm both advertisers and developers with consistent metrics. So while there aren't in-game viewability measurement requirements that are defined by the MRC today, we are starting to see progress on industry standards. Recently, the IAB and the MRC have collaborated to update measurement guidelines for in-game ads and have established an in-game measurement task force. So defined standards are definitely coming soon.
Yeah, really interesting to hear about this. It's so new. I think the space is really exciting, especially as gaming kind of leads the way in the metaverse. But of course, providing a quality advertising experience, both for advertisers and for users, I think there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. And I know Oracle Moat is really doing a lot of great work in kind of pushing those standards forward so that these games can be ad supported and free or at a reduced price, but advertisers can still make sure that they have measurement behind their ad placements.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as this space moves forward, what are going to be the biggest challenges to improving viewability and measurement?
Yeah, so I think as we look at the effect that the pandemic and lockdowns have had on users' viewing behavior, people were forced to spend more time at home. Gaming usage grew. I think the global market for in-game advertising is estimated to grow to about $6.4 billion by 2027. So really, it will become crucial for effective measurement to be defined for in-game ads in order for advertisers to have the confidence to move significant budgets into in-game advertising. And if we look at the history of new media, whether it was web, social, or mobile, advertiser adoption was always preceded by pioneering measurement. And on the Oracle Moat side, this is how we started establishing connected TV, where we took an innovative approach in measuring CTV starting back in 2015. And we've continued to invest in the advancement of the CTV space. In advertising, we know that if you can't measure it, it doesn't matter. So providing third-party measurement is essential to really being able to build effective media strategies and build industry confidence and wider adoption. So defining these measurement standards for in-game advertising will really help to establish it as an ad category. And it also protects gamers, brands and agencies, developers, and really the industry as a whole. So at Oracle, we're also super excited to be the first to market in announcing a viewability measurement for in-game ads. We recently launched this with Anzu as our first in-game advertising platform partner. Our viewability measurement within in-game takes into consideration the percentage of the creative on screen, the ad size, the time in view, and the angle of the ad. We also verify impression delivery and detect invalid traffic across in-game ad formats. So we're really proud to introduce in-game measurement as a major breakthrough to understanding more about in-game environments, and also see this as a continued effort to work with additional in-game advertising partners to expand and evolve our measurement.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting announcement. Certainly a lot of advertisers are really interested in this space, and how could you not be, considering how fast it's growing and how much interest it's generating. But yeah, now that there is a measurement solution out there, I think probably adoption is just going to skyrocket, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely interest already, and now it's just continuing to build that confidence and comfortability with it.
Yeah, and so one thing I think is really interesting, especially in relation to a number of these emerging formats, you mentioned CTV. Certainly, we've been talking about in-game advertising and the metaverse. Some of the more established digital advertising platforms are becoming a little bit less measurable than they used to. So Apple's app tracking transparency is impacted in-app advertising. Google is going to be deprecating the third-party cookie within Chrome within the next 2 years. And many other browsers have already phased them out. So in this push to further guarantee user privacy, how is that causing advertisers to think differently, both about emerging formats and about viewability overall?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, with the rise in regulation policy, we're definitely seeing these consumer platforms implementing changes that restrict identifiable data that's previously been used for advertiser targeting. But in terms of ad spend, there still remains the ongoing need to measure and optimize budgets to make sure they're allocating their spend as efficiently as possible. And our ad verification offering from Moat Analytics functions without IDs today. Moat Analytics does not collect, store, or transact on user data or user IDs. So we're not impacted by these recent changes. But as the digital advertising industry moves beyond personal identifiers, I think it will be really important for advertisers to diversify their portfolio of solutions to include solutions that are built on a privacy-first approach to measuring. So when it comes to measuring effectiveness for new emerging formats like native in-game advertising, it does differ from other digital advertising. In-game ads are typically not clickable. They're shown while the viewer is midway through a game, so they're unlikely to click away and go to an app store or e-commerce page. So it's really seen more as brand awareness marketing. And measuring in-game ad effectiveness is a combination of viewability measurement and brand lift studies, rather than trying to directly track clicks or purchases. It's really that brand lift measurement, which will be IDFA proof. So this is something that could push in-game ads higher up on advertisers' media plans.
Yeah, and I think that's a really excellent point to bring up. Brands have been running, billboards along the side of the highway, inside a stadium at a basketball game or other sporting events, on TV. And it's just like, as people, move to these digital channels, it's just making sure that you can just run these kind of brand awareness campaigns in these new channels as well.
Yeah.
And so as we're looking forward, I think there's a lot of changes on the horizon for advertising, for digital advertising. What do you see, as the big trends that are going to be impacting advertising in 2022 and beyond?
Yeah. So I think we're faced with the reality that people have access to way more media than they could possibly ever consume in their lifetime. So, really recognizing how people choose to consume their media is key to understanding their unique circumstances and unique mindset. So it's really important to rethink the way we capture the attention of our audience. And as we expand into new emerging online advertising, it's also super important to establish a baseline to measure against. Like everything that's relatively nascent, there are still going to be a lot of things that we are not sure about or unknown. And I think emphasizing on transparency and standards across the industry will be key. It's also important to recognize that the viewing environments today are totally different. So it's not an easy apples to apples comparison. And we need to consider that when we are measuring attention as well. One thing that remains is that people are there to consume content, but they do not want to be bombarded by advertising. And with emerging media like in-game, it's really important to think about the overall experience we're providing, and really asking ourselves if the experience for the customer is positive and engaging, or is it annoying? And this should always be top of mind, but especially in newer channels like in-game advertising. And I think what's been really important for the success of in-game advertising is the approach that's been taken to keep the gamer's experience in mind and not disrupt their experience. And when this is done well, this has really enabled advertising to fit harmoniously within the 3D game space and add to the overall real world feel of the game experience.
Yeah, those fundamentals are so important no matter where your ads are running.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Janelle, really thank you for your time today. Any parting thoughts you'd like to leave folks with?
Again, I think it's understanding the customer experience and really thinking about what the impact is of your advertising and if it's providing a positive impact, and finding the right ways to measure and determine success.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. And Janelle, thank you for your time and your insights. It was great.
Thanks. It was great talking with you.